Back again because the YouTube algorithm is sending these things my way now, which I kind of enjoy. So I found another channel who has made a video about the Dogfree subreddit and is reacting to some of the posts that she's reading from there. So I thought we'd go through this one. And I will say I watched this whole video this time because it's only like almost 11 minutes long. And she is not nearly as annoying as the last guy I made a video about, Jake's videos or whatever, Jake's films or Jack's films. Um, but let's get into it.
Good day to you. Today we're going to look at a beautiful community online, Dogfree, the place where you go to hate dogs. So you might know about Childfree, that's a place to hate children. This is the dog version for the dog haters among us.
So I haven't spent very much time on Child Free. I've heard about it. I'm not sure if these two subreddits are comparable or not. I don't know enough about Child Free to really comment on that. I do know though, one thing I've heard some people complain about is how many child-free people have dogs and end up treating the dogs almost as if it's a surrogate child, which I just think that's a really interesting phenomenon because I think one of the criticisms, or one of the, yeah, criticisms of having children, or one of the reasons a lot of these people don't want children is the responsibility, both financially and just the self-sacrifice it takes uh, in your life to have children. You know, it cuts into your free time, your travel plans. You know, things get a little bit more complicated in your personal life when you have a child. But then they go out and get a dog and bring all of that, you know, it's not obviously the same as having a child. It's a much lesser degree of responsibility, but still, it doesn't really make sense in that context.
This is the dog version for the dog haters among us. Now, before I get into this, I'd like to say that I do sympathize with dog haters. As a kid, I was afraid of dogs. I've since moved on. I can win against any dog, and I will prove that in the ring. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure she's being sarcastic here and making a joke, but of course, I just have to point out that we all know how untrue this is. Many, many, many dog owners, especially women who own larger breeds of dogs, are completely physically incapable of managing that dog. And I think that's one complaint and criticism of dog culture that comes up on Dog Free and other places. A pit mommy is wholly incapable of controlling that mutt. If it decides to lunge at her, if it decides to lunge at someone else, if it decides to attack her children, we've seen case after case after case of this happening. I remember that woman in Scotland who was killed by her XL bully, I think days after posting a video of her essentially dancing with the dog. We know about that family, the Bernards in Tennessee, who had two pit bulls that were bought from a breeder as puppies and raised for like 8 years before they had children. And those dogs ended up killing both children. I think they were 2 or 3 and like 18 months or 8 months. They were very young children. And sent the mother to the ICU. Like I said, just case after case of this. So I know she was joking or being snarky about being able to take on any dog. I just have to point out how utterly ridiculous that is because a lot of people aren't joking. A lot of people think that they have these dogs under control. And when things happen, when the dog decides to get violent or aggressive, they find out the hard way, or some poor victim in their circle or in the vicinity finds out the hard way that no, these beasts aren't controllable.
dog free. we don't like dogs. They don't. Let's just get a good look at the kind of general posts that I'm seeing as I peruse this subreddit. Pope Francis warns pets must not replace children in Italy. Warning that pets were replacing children in some households, the Pope recounted how a woman had opened her bag and asked him to bless her baby, except it was not a baby, but a small dog. I lost my patience and told her off. There are many children who are hungry, and you bring me a dog, he added, triggering a round of applause from the crowd. Everybody clapped at that when the Pope said, hey, that's no baby. Everybody was like, yeah, woo. It is worrying many.
That's funny. I didn't know about that story, but that demonstrates the insanity of these dog nutters that they would bring a dog to the Pope to be blessed as if it were a child. And, she makes fun of a lot of this and makes light of it and laughs about it. But a lot of people do actually treat their dogs like they are literal children, maybe even more, like, maybe even better than children.
Many people refer to their pets unironically as their baby. It is so bad in some states that first responders are trained to double check if someone says my baby is trapped, that they mean a human baby. Firefighters have risked their life for babies that turn out to be dogs. Immediate dog firefighting conspiracy. This
Yeah, so this one she completely writes off. She calls it a conspiracy. But again, this is something I encounter, maybe not to that level, but all the time I'll see posts where it's like, my baby was killed, my baby has died. And, for a moment I'm taken aback. And then I realize they're talking about a dog. And so it would not one bit surprise me if people have called the emergency line, called the fire department or 911 to come help them with save their baby, and it turns out to be a dog they're talking about.
says 94 upvotes. 94 people saw that and said, yeah, this happens. I've seen it happen. He should have cursed the dog and its foolish owner, cast down a dark
Hey, shout out to Tom. It looks like one of your comments made the cut here. That's funny.
spell upon them. But then again, just owning a dog is already like being under a curse. I didn't know this was a forum for Disney villains. Dog culture is indeed degeneration, a descent into sadness and a stance of defeat towards human relationships. I disagree with Francis in
So she's a lot more pleasant than the last guy, but again, you can see that her take on this is always just a form of, instead of addressing anything, it's just laughing at it. It's kind of a form of mockery or condescension.
a number of issues, but this isn't one of them. Italy has one of the lowest fertility rates in Europe, and they are closing schools through lack of new pupils. He is absolutely right about this. The whole thing is pathological and indicative of a decadent civilization well in its way to decline. It's very funny that this subreddit is into essentially the great replacement theory, but for dogs. The dogs are gonna come in and replace us all. Pope Francis.
So again, she has this angle that this is all some crazy conspiracy theory and it's just ridiculous. Can you believe anyone actually thinks this? But, it's true that the birth rates have declined below replacement level. And I'm not one to blame dogs and dog culture entirely for that. I think that there's multiple reasons that's happening. And I'm also not one to say that everyone should be having children. Every woman has to have children. Every woman should be a mother. You know, if a woman doesn't want to have children, that's her decision. But it's true that the population of dogs is and has been completely exploding. And I mean, there's just millions upon millions of them to the extent that There's feral dogs, stray dogs everywhere, overflowing shelters. People are giving puppies away for free in parking lots all the time. So there's an absolutely massive explosion in the population of dogs. Almost nothing seems to be done to control that population. You have these no-kill shelters. They won't even put down known aggressive and dangerous dogs. Like, you can have a dog that is known to have attacked people, that is known to have bitten someone. What's that lady's name we talked about on Animal on Control? Oh, what is her name? That crazy woman who's uh, adopted pit bull who had a bite history of at least two known separate incidents where it bit people, and she adopted it, and then it went on to kill her like 95-year-old friend. That dog has been kept alive for 5 years. That incident happened 5 years ago, and that woman is still in court fighting to get that dog released. It has not been put down because she's fought it in court. So, yes, there's a huge overpopulation of dogs. And it's true, it's just a fact that in almost every Western country, and a lot of just Eastern countries too, a lot of nations worldwide are experiencing a population decline, or a birth rate is now below replacement level. So, I don't know. She writes this off as some kind of crazy conspiracy theory, and the point of this whole video is just to read these comments and act like it's the most absurd, insane, silly, can you believe these people exist? Without actually, this isn't really done in good faith. It's done for entertainment and laughs. But she doesn't investigate, obviously, any of this topic at all. She's not going to look into legitimate grievances that people have towards dogs and dog culture. She's just going to read comments and like make fun of them, essentially.
Francis has always been based. Does anyone even take care of their animal anymore? I haven't seen a single one of my neighbors walk their dog, but they all have dogs. I remember 10 to 20 years ago it was considered necessary to take a dog on walks if you own one, and they were all a lot more well behaved. Now it seems like no one cares. They just awkwardly walk around for 3 seconds for it, crap everywhere, then run back inside. Not one of these. During one scene it showed one of the characters in bed spooning their dog. I have never seen or heard of that before, and I thank the stars that it was fictional, although I don't doubt that it happens IRL. I know it's super common for nutters. They call people who own and love dogs on the subreddit nutters or...
Yes, dog nutters, because that is what they are. So, and then I don't know if I'll listen to this entire video again because it's the same thing again and again. She reads comments, makes a snarky reply, laughs about it, and then reads another comment, makes a snarky reply and laughs about it. She goes on here to say that she loves spooning dogs. She's, spooning dogs all the time, and it's a great pleasure. Don't even get me started. I don't want to talk about zoophilia tonight, guys. I don't even want to go there. We see way too many stories about that happening too. And again, I feel like if you pointed that out to her, she would laugh and say it's a conspiracy theory or something that, a lot of these dog nutters are zoophiles. I hate to say it. It's disgusting, but we see it all too often. A lot more than you would think. A lot more than even I was expecting to find. Um, so yeah, she just kind of goes on for this entire video, reading comments from Dogfree, mocking them, making little jokes, being snarky, and that's about it. I mean, I don't really think I see any serious critique of, the things that people are saying on Dogfree or other similar forums or to our videos. I mean, the only comments I see coming from people outside this space are either extremely hateful, like way over the top hateful, or just these people who are very flippant, make fun of it, laugh it off, and then never think about it again, essentially. So, yeah, I wanted to respond to this. The algorithm is pushing these videos to me now, which is kind of fun. But yeah, her only takeaway from all of this is that we hate dogs for seemingly no real reason other than to just hate dogs. She says she doesn't really have a problem with dog haters, but obviously she thinks it's just kind of silly and laughs it off and is very flippant about it. And that's as far as her um, video on this topic goes.